It's still June 25th, 2023. Insane day, but drug dealers and human traffickers are crazy. Absolutely crazy. These people helping out a human trafficking gang have lost their minds. Today, after I left work, I was so mad. I went with my client to Trinity Gospel, and some idiot women are sitting behind me laughing. It's funny she can't find anybody to help her. I know. Ha 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 ha. I thought, figure Satan shows up to church to mock people. Satan shows up and uses anybody he can use. Then about halfway through the service, they're like, none of this is funny. We found out they drugged and photoshopped everything. I know. I go to leave, and the one officer I seen yesterday was sitting at the edge, and people were saying, Karen, security's here. And no one's to say a word. Okay? Well, I take my client back home, and after work, I leave and I go down to Dollar Tree, and out on the motorcycle, that idiot hired us to tape her unaware and surveillance her, me, and my men, and we were supposed to document everything and send it back to them. They were the ones having us do it. I thought, are you crazy? Admitting you were stalking me, and you were part of it, and you were the one photoshopping the shower scene and date rape drugging me and photoshopping scenes. That idiot cannot hire a stalker. And I look at these people like, are you crazy putting your name on this? Are you fucking crazy? I went over and I went in Walmart, and I went to leave, and somebody said something stupid about the shower scene people. Well, I go out in my car, and I know it's bugged, and all these idiots have the login. So I go through where the shower scene, the times and dates, and that nobody knew about it. And everything's a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie. That they lied on Danny and John, that they had an attorney. There was no attorney. It's just a big scam for the shower scene in the other room and the date rape drugs, and told to say stuff to cover up them violating me. People yell that, don't nobody say a word. Duh. Okay? That idiot can't hire a stalker. I work for 2 home health cares. One of them's with the Department of Disability. Oh, I couldn't do that if I had anything against me. Not even an accusation. I couldn't work for him. I'm a DSP. I do home health care. I work for 2 agencies. I can pass an FBI background check. I have nothing against me. That's how much they're scamming these people. It's all a big fraud scheme, like my friend from the prosecutor's office. Okay. I get home, and then I go for a walk later on. Well, first I went down and mailed something at Maslin. They started swarming, so I left the tape playing of all the people knowing drugs and photoshopping. Everybody scattered. I drove myself home. It was nice. It was real nice. I go to walk in the park, and then I come home, and I came home for a while, and then I went and walked in the park, and some idiots out there saying it's a shame she said something to somebody. Okay, another drug scam. That agent, John, that they made fun of, June 7th, 2023, Walmart 62, Lighthouse Tabernacle, Katie's sister. FBI agent John fell for the tapes before. What on earth? He actually fell for it. It was just a stunt. You mean that agent actually fell for it? FBI agent John fell for the stunt of the tapes before. Oh, come on. He actually fell for that. That was just a stunt. Very cruel. Mean stunt. Ha 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 ha. Is that why they got away with it? He fell for the stunt. See, after I called the hotline, they drugged me up for a couple days, so I couldn't get out of that. So they could get to him. And under the Fourth Amendment, the right to privacy in your home, they cannot ever look or listen. I've talked to some of you worked at the prosecutor's office. I've talked to the police. It's on the Department of Justice. Nobody can be in your home outside of Protect a Life case with statements. But they drug me up so they could get to him. I had a 25 grand hit on my life, and more likely they paid him off. They called him a paid off dirty agent. So where Dave admitted April 15, 16, 23 or March 15, 16, 23 on a legally blocked phone from the protected custody case that he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. He was the only one up there taping me unaware. According to that guy, they had their men up there. That's where I was getting drugged, beaten, raped. And they were the only one doing that. The drugging, the beating, raping, the fake sodium pentothal reports. The ones that were leaving hand marks embedded in my arms, bruises all over my chest, a swollen personal infection. Here I'm being drugged, beaten, raped, I'm throwing up, dizzy, and almost passing out. And they're telling me to say weirdo stuff so they can frame me, and they Photoshop a shower scene being asinine. Because Dave's girlfriend just wanted to hurt me. You do realize that. That's how sick all this. She just wanted to hurt me because I was his wife and I didn't know who she was. That's how sick all these people are. She just wanted to hurt me. So, going back to, in that he had talked to that agent up at that church, and he's seen him asking threats on my life, and he spoke to him personally. So where I tried to tell, where I'd called the hotline, and they had me too drugged up to even answer the phone. The next day when he tried to call me back, by the third day he should have been knocking on my door. You do realize that? Come looking for me. There's threats on my life and I disappear. You come looking for me. He would have found me drugged, beaten, raped in my bed. You do realize that. See, that's where, when I call him back on the fourth day and I tried to tell him that somebody told on me the night before at that church, he called me a liar. Didn't want the name of that church. He didn't want to call that minister. Why? Because it was him. That's why they mocked him. He already knew that Dave knew. Dave told Danny he had hired that guy Pete to take me unaware and do all those things. So you're going to say FBI agent John is incompetent. And when somebody tries to tell him where to find a vital piece of evidence, he's refusing, and he's obstructing justice and tampering with evidence and tampering with witnesses on purpose. And he cannot find out when they set up their own surveillance for the case that he opened, that he can't find their dirty cameras and link it back. He's too incompetent. Or he's an accessory to all these crimes. He's an accessory to all these crimes. He can't even ask me to stay quiet. He has no authority to do that. I've talked to people from the prosecutors and the police, and there was a case last year on the news. It went nationwide. Some agent tried to ask an informant to stay quiet. Press ripped him a new one and called for them to get shut down. If the FBI would ever back one agent ever telling anyone to stay quiet against anything, they don't have that kind of authority. They only have law enforcement. It takes a judge to take your freedom of speech away. And the whole thing of it is, Dave already knew. The church people already knew. FBI agent John told on me to Apostolic Church in Barberton before I even called him back. He cut a deal with them. He fell for their cheap stunt of the date rape, drug confessions, and the photoshopping of a shower scene. And he didn't verify it was all Photoshop. He just went along with it. I never had to stay quiet, nor did he have the authority to ask me to stay quiet. Told you I tried to tell him about the guy that threatened to knife me at Huntington Bank. He called me a liar. Was there a camera above the bench? I don't know. If you don't know if there's a camera above the bench, either say you're lying or arrest you. I'm like, what? He said, no, was there a camera above that bench when he came up behind you and threatened to knife? I don't know. Then you better say you're lying or arrest you. I'm like, fine, whatever. That was a serial killer in this area. He had killed Lori, my one friend at my one coworker. My one coworker at my second job already killed her family member. And then Merlisa, my house manager, they killed her family member afterwards and was taken by the drug traders that are human trafficking. He allowed human trafficking to happen in Ohio. And it was the drug traders out of this area that they got their drugs from. I told him that he tried to kidnap me before, and he called me a liar. Terry let me tape her with her permission. She's seen him. And then we all have the same van, the same guy, the same everything. He's a serial killer loose in this area, and he purposely let him go. Made me beg for my life, then listed me informant for life, $5,000 a month for life, and then threatened me if I told someone. Or he even said, even when you tell, but then threatened me if I told. He did like a flip-flop. He can't ask me to stay quiet. And what part of someone told on me at that church the night before did he not comprehend? Because it was him. And he's trying to pull a fast one here. And these people with a low IQ. There's some idiot out there trying to talk to where the apartment building for me, second close offense, where there was a lady and little kids living there before, ratted out Dave and a bunch of other people in that building. And they're saying, shame you don't know how to get a hold of her. Well, you know you're a drug dealer because cops already got a hold of him with a badge. And anybody would know to get a hold of my landlord with a list of people who live there. So you're a drug dealer pulling a scam. You're actually that stupid that I wouldn't realize who you are. This is a big scam from Lighthouse Tabernacle. You do realize that. They want you, and this makes me sick. If my family even knew Dave was cheating on me, and they didn't tell me, that is the ultimate betrayal. Why? Because he's actually having sex with somebody else. And when you're having sex with somebody else, they can harm that. Most people that get killed or murdered are married or in a relationship, and that person cheats and the other person gets them killed. That's weird. And plus he could have got a veneer. That woman's willing to cheat with a married man. She could be cheating with somebody else and give me some kind of disease. That's ultimate betrayal of any of my family that would ever know that he was ever cheating on me before and didn't say a word. That's ultimate betrayal, because that gives me the option of getting out of there and suing him. See, this is where it comes down to the whole point of it is, he tried to have me harm at Lennox. He had girlfriends at Lennox. He had the stripper. Does he think it's funny bringing her here? He had Katie. He had Savannah. According to Delano Eddy, or that other man at Apostolic Church of Barberton, you think you're better than her dating all those women. He had several women. He wanted, and I asked him what he's talking about. He said he doesn't know. And then everything started falling apart real quick. Why on earth would he have us buy that big house in Ravenna and me move everything up there? Why didn't just divorce me at Lennox? Seriously, just divorce me, go off with all these women. We could have sold Lennox, split it, and just give me all the money and go on your happy way. Because that girlfriend, Katie, wanted to hurt me. Wanted to hurt me because I was his wife. Why? Because she's sick. Like the stripper and Savannah. They find sick enjoyment hurting me just because I was married to Dave. I have nothing to do with their affairs. I have nothing to do with him whoring around with all these women. I have nothing to do with their life. And these people that hurt me, I don't even know them. They don't know me as a person. And I'll tell you what, I would never do this to them because it's very illegal. And that idiot on the motorcycle, if I feel like Dave's one fat girlfriend that was dating her too, and her family was helping out for a while, when she yelled at the goons from Ravenna, "Are you crazy? You can't enter a drug confession." Well, we just found out they drugged her and told her what to say before. That was back in May in 21. Are you crazy? You can't enter illegal surveillance. See, they're trying to convince people in here that you don't have any rights in the United States. We're going to go back that I work for the people with the Department of Disability clients. Some of our homes, we have cameras on in the rooms, 2 rooms, staff's room and then out in the living room. Can never have one in a bedroom and not one in the bathroom because you still have the rights of privacy. Do you realize to even put those cameras up, we have to have their guardian sign off on it. And if they're able to acknowledge that they know they're there, that it's okay with them, because they still have a choice. Their social worker has to sign off on it, the Department of Disability, and a judge. Just a tape in the staff's room in the living room. They have rights, and they're disabled. They have open cameras that they know about. And it still has to go through all those procedures, because they have a right to privacy in their home. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life with statements. It is illegal to hire a stalker to stalk your wife. If Dave doesn't want me, just go off with the horse. Just go off with him. Go live your wild little exotic dream of doing all these women. You don't want to be a married man and be responsible. Go off. Leave me out of it. I have nothing to do with you wanting to go out and do all these women. I have nothing to do with these women that are slutty. I don't have anything to do with them. Nothing. I have nothing to do with their families, and they had nothing to do with me or my children or grandchildren. Go off and leave me and go off with them. But he couldn't just do that. They wanted to hurt me just because I was his wife. And I didn't know he was cheating. See what I mean? And I didn't know who he was cheating with. Do you realize? That's where I had suspicions about Katie and him, because people would say stuff and he'd always deny it. And she always cheated with my brother-in-law, Tim. So do you realize, with Tim being with Linda, then Tim being with Katie, and the Daves being with Katie, then with me? That's disgusting. That is disgusting. That's how you get venereal diseases. And her telling who else she's with. See what I mean? And Savannah, the same thing. Or that stripper, dear God. And then you got Michelle. And this is where the whole point of it is. If my family knew about any of those women, and they didn't come tell me saying, Karen, he's cheating, you need to divorce him and get an attorney and get out of this relationship. He's already out cheating. Because I could get a disease, and people get hurt in trios. And a lot of the people that end up getting killed or hurt really bad is because the other person is cheating, and then it becomes toxic to the point they harm the other person or kill them. And do you realize how sick these people, that idiot on the thing, why would I, if I was them, I'd say Dave's cray-cray. I never stalked Karen. Never drugged her, beat her, raped her. Nothing to do with this. Dave's crazy. See, the whole thing of it is, they can go to jail for stalking. He can't interfere in my life. He can't even hire. You can't even hire for an underage child, under 18, for you to set up hidden cameras and have them tape them unaware and them not know it. Why? Because they're home alone. What happens if they go get a shower and walk out of the bathroom naked? You just obtained a dispense kitty porn. And if they're taping in the bathroom, they're obtaining it and dispensing kitty porn. And that child has a right to privacy. You can't just hire a retired judge with no authority, and he would know that. Being a judge, it'd be a severe Fourth Amendment violation, and it could never be looked or listened to. You do realize that, right? You do realize that, right? Let alone their fake sodium pentothal reports, breaking in, drugging me. My heart's racing, migraine headaches, throwing up, almost passing out. Waking up with hand marks in bed of my arm. Then I get a personal infection and I'm swollen, and I'm thinking it's the well water. affecting my skin, and I'm so infected. I'm at the doctor's office all the time, and I'm dizzy. They don't know what's wrong with me. I had all these bruises on me. I know where they were coming from, and here they're drugging me, beating me, and raping me. Are these people insane for putting their names on this? And see, where I told you where they were breaking up in Akron, they said none of this is funny. It was verified. It was that agent that called her back that did tell on her before, and he was telling people up there she knew she was being drugged, beat, and raped, and he didn't care. And I got to think, I've lived through so much. I've lived through so much. I got to thinking, when I walked off, when Paymer was going, my God, I had an FBI agent in my office, he's right there, and he's screaming and pointing. I walked off, and women were talking about it, and I didn't know who they were talking about. All I knew was I had bruises, I was throwing up, and I was infected. They're amnesia drugs, you're sleepwalking. That someone took my coworker Dar from a bar. She had took a drink, and all of a sudden she started acting happy. People came up and said, let's go. And she found herself in a puddle of pee. And she was sick and dizzy and throwing up and da-da-da the next day like me. Okay? 2 months later, she found out she was pregnant. They had beat her and raped her. Or raped her and left her in a puddle of pee, whatever they did to her. Sick. And she willingly left with him, and she didn't even know she left with him. Mike, my one neighbor, got reviewed in a bar. He came up to me when I walked out of my apartment. I got a problem. I don't know how I got home. I'm like, go sleep it off. He's like, I got a worse problem. I got money in my pocket. I'm like, check your bank. And here he had went to the bank. He's like, what was in the box with mustard? How did I change my shoes? He was freaking out. He had no recollection of the whole night. He'd been out sleep driving. You're sleepwalking for 4 to 6 hours with these amnesia drugs. I talked to a sheriff about them. He said those amnesia drugs are so bad, they could have drugged up those people and told them to take down the towers. And they would have done it. You do and say everything you're told, just like they got Eric High November 1822 in Walmart 62, 2 to 6 p.m., and had him go in and confess for all the tapes before were him and not me. And scream it out in Walmart 62 by the hair salon. They drugged up that poor man and told him to say it. And Dave told Danny April 15, 16, or 23. He had nothing to do with it. He had hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was Pete up there taping me unaware and doing all those things before. And Pete has her framed, and that he had talked to an agent up at that church asking threats on her life, and he spoke to him personally. Where I tried to tell that agent someone told on me and called me a liar. So we're going to say John's incompetent. I told him someone told on me. It should have been, my God, how'd they find out? Tell you what, after I didn't call him back for 3 days, and there's threats on my life and 2 documented Perry police reports, he should have been knocking on my door. He didn't. Why? Because they already got to him. He was the one at that church that night. And he was saying all that crap. When I tried to call him back the next day. Tried to tell him. Called me a liar. So you're saying he's incompetent, that he didn't know that guy was up there and that wasn't him? He's incompetent when they set up their own surveillance, that he didn't find out about Pete and Dave's stunt of having me drugged, beat, raped, and photoshopped? Huh? Or are you saying he purposely obstructed justice and tampered with witnesses and evidence for them to get away with it? And he probably took the 25 grand hit. Regardless, they already knew, and it's his damn fault. This whole thing is. People have cost them their lives. People have been murdered. People have been human trafficked. I had over 200 drug traders and human traffickers around me. The first month, people from New York, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia. And a lot of them were drug dealers and human traffickers. And they were flat out bragging they were making people prostitute for the rest of their lives around me. Did he stop them? No. We are now fourth in the nation since 18. Little Ohio, New York, New York, Texas, Florida, and Ohio. Whose fault is it that got set up here 4.5 years ago? John's. For falling for a cheap, very mean stunt that Katie just wanted to hurt me. Because like Dave said, she's pathetic, she wants attention. So they came up with the stunt of him calling her fat and ugly in another store and me dare laugh. So her family can go, oh, we all gotta get her. Who gets people at 50 for calling somebody fat and ugly in another store and shouldn't have known? If you weren't having me stalked and it wasn't a cheap stunt, for her to get attention and for her family to be hiding in the purses or behind something, for me to dare if I laugh. And he's denying he's going out with her, calling her pathetic, and then calls her fat and ugly in another store. She wouldn't even have known. He never said it around her or around her face or anything. It was a setup for her to get attention. And then, because she's a millionaire, to hire Pete and for Ron putting his family's name in trying to help Dave cheat. He ought to be ashamed and disgrace his dead son's name of, he knows I went through all those surgeries. He knew I was working with that doctor. He knew it went into spontaneous remission. My mom was telling everybody that it was supposed to happen soon. And everybody's talking, well, you're going to beat it. It's going to kick. And I was talking to him and Lisa the week before Tyler died about it, how much stronger I'm getting. They always see me out of stores pulling myself around. They always see me out driving. And while I'm watching Tyler and my son Danny play outside of the church, and we're talking, and I said, they keep saying spontaneous remission. I can't wait for him. Well, you're getting so much stronger. Good to see you doing better. And it was 2 months after his son got killed in a traffic accident. I had nothing to do with it. I had worked with a doctor for 9 months from where I had endometriosis and then kidney problems, had all those surgeries, 6 to 10 surgeries in 2 years, went to pain management, had a medication error, made me swell up, everything quit working, and had to deal with the side effects of drugs, of making my legs pop out of place from the overwhelming fluid building up to everything shutting down, where I'm slowly dying from the medication error. Thank God, like the nurse at Altman Hospital, or Altman Family Physician, it's a good thing you got off that medication and went on pain medicine and got out moving. You were having a medication error and it was allergic reaction, and they should have caught it, even if it was 20 years ago, and they didn't. And everything's documented through Cleveland Clinic and different other hospitals, surgeries, and then the swelling, and then and then me slowly getting better, and then it finally going in remission 2 months after his kid died. And then Strange making that up 4 months later so David can sit in that church by himself so he can cheat with whoever he wants, using his dead son's name to help Dave cheat. He ought to be ashamed of himself. Oh, I blasted him on Facebook. I blasted all of them. I called them reprobates. And I called Lighthouse Tabernacle a sick, satanic occult that has people drugged, beat, and raped. Oh, people in Trinity Gospel said they actually are saying somebody actually broke in her home and was taping her unaware and drugging her before and doing things. Could you imagine? People haven't even looked at it like that. Some retired judge cannot be hired to kick in somebody's door and watch somebody. You can't even follow someone around and take pictures of them repeatedly. You can't even follow them around. It's stalking. Stalking in medicine, you go to jail for that. You can't watch somebody unaware. You can't take videos of them in the bathroom, bedrooms, nudes, and sell them. That's sex trafficking videos. You can't break in and date rape, drug somebody, beat and rape them. As human trafficking. Those people are looking at life in federal prison for putting their name on it. And they're like, well, she's going to get in trouble for it, right? It's like crack kills brain cells, people. You've been doing too many of your amnesia drugs, right? You know, I talk to people and it's like, that retired judge don't know the law. Oh, he knows the law. He would not ever be allowed in my home, and nor could they ever look or listen. My friend from the prosecutor's office said they could never look or listen. Officer Reinhardt in Louisville, the Portage County Sheriff's, the Department of Justice, and the Constitution said they could never look or listen. That FBI agent where they laughed at him and mocked at mocked him June 7th, 23. FBI agent John fell for the stunt of the tapes before. One on Earth that was just a stunt where they drugged and photoshopped me and beat and raped me. That's a very cruel and sick stunt. And sold me on porn sites. That's a sick, satanic stunt. Hurting somebody that has nothing to do with his adulterous affairs. I had nothing to do with those women slutting themselves around with my husband. You want to have him? Have him. Why didn't he just leave me at Lenox? Why did he have me pick out a nice big house and move it up there? Huh? Why did he even bother? Why didn't he just go off with him? See, this has come down to the point. These women just wanted someone to hurt. And these idiot men were willing to hurt me just for the fun of it, for having a victim. Retired Judge Pete's in with the drug traders, the human traffickers. They have, that agent actually opened a real case with statements. And that's where the Starr County Sheriff's mentioned it at Faith Family Church. Are you interested in working Karen around the house? What's that? One of us have to watch her or listen to her every day. The North Canton Jackson Police mentioned it. Massillon Police, Canal Fulton Police, Hartville Police. He opened a real informant program with immunity and money. And the FBI still owes me that money. I got tortured, bashed in the back of the head. And whose fault is it, regardless, that he didn't find out about Pete and his dirty cameras, and that he was drugging, photoshopping, and beating, raping me, and sex trafficking videos of me, and Davis human trafficking me out of that house under drugs? Whose fault is it with him being a federal agent? And when I told him, somebody told on me the night before. It's his. And it was him up there. And it was verified by officers. And everybody knows. Do you know up Friday up in Akron where I was working at my second job, some ladies pulled in and said, we found out they made everything up on her. It was all them. Nobody's to say a word. Just like those stupid idiots sitting behind me in church today mocking me. She can't find anybody to help her. Ha, 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 ha. And then they said, oh, we found out that they drugged and photoshopped everything. None of this is funny. Yeah. And they're trying to convince these people that you have no rights and that church can hire that gang to break in your door, stalk you, Photoshop you, sell you on porn sites, break in, date rape, drug you, leave you bruised, throwing up, running to the bathroom, get a really bad personal infection, go to the doctor. I'm like, I got these bruises, I don't know where they're coming from, I got this headache, I'm dizzy, I'm throwing up, my heart's racing. And they're trying to treat the symptoms. You haven't left your house, not realizing people are breaking in your home, date rape, drugging you, beating you, raping you. When I told the nurse that, because it all comes together of why all those things were happening to me. And she's like, your ex-husband is a sick, vile animal, and so are all these people that are doing this to me. And when people stop finding any of this funny and realize how sick and cruel they are, and start turning them over out in North Canton, people are like, we call the police. We call the police on this. We call the police on that. They have enough common sense to be afraid of them. It's a severe Jim Jones will call, and they're in it with the human trafficking people. Now, would people learn to realize, I'm not in trouble for anything. They had no right in my home. I'll be like Officer Reinhardt. They had no right in your home. Hartville police told people that they had no right in their home. We could never look or listen. Reinhardt said that even the FBI couldn't look or listen. It'd be illegal for them. No one had a right in their home. Dave can't interfere in my life. Where he thinks he's God over me, and that's how I used to refer to him for my husband's playing God. He thinks he's God over me. He's really not. He may be Satan possessed, but he's not God over me. See, that's one of the guys in February of 19. She talks in riddles so no one can understand her. She refers to her husband as playing God. Who's God? I don't understand, the lady replied. She said, God, he looked at her and said, God holds life and death in his hands. Her secret is her husband's trying to kill her. Is that what's going on? Told him in Walmart. I'm going to upload this.